Mic check 1, check 2, check. 1, 2, mic check 1, 2. One moment, just doing the mic check song. How is it sounding? We good? We good? Oh. Alright, that's looking good. Awesome. Okay. Stops on. Hey guys, Netbug here, and welcome to the second episode of Animation Hyperfixation. Really excited to get this one going. It's been a little while in the making, and there is a ton to talk about today, good and bad. Just showing off my current desktop background a bit first. Ciro Neely posted this on his Instagram the other day. It's been about 10 years now since the Teenage Ninja Turtles 2012 series started, so I hope you all feel as old as I do right now. So, let's get the biggest thing out of the way first and foremost. Let's talk about that Mario movie trailer. This has been... It's really weird seeing everyone I've ever known on my timeline freaking out about this. Because, I mean, I follow a lot of animation people, I follow a lot of game people. It's not very often that they're all on the same page talking about the same thing. It's been a little frustrating, too, though, because, listen. I'm aware there are some legitimate reasons to not be really thrilled about some of the choices with this movie. Especially the voice acting. There is a very real conversation to be had about celebrity voice actors being picked over professionals. And I mean, you guys know that I reacted pretty similarly to anybody else when they announced this.
So you know. Glimpse of Mario in action.
What?
Is Mario. He's so cool.
So I'm not saying that it's weird to have mixed feelings about this. What I am saying is it feels like there's a lot of people who were just dead set on hating this film no matter what. And it makes it really hard for me to talk critically about it because I feel like everybody else on the entire internet is being super critical of it in every way possible. And it just kind of makes me naturally want to lean more into the positives of it, you know? I want to stress that I am always open to a good critical discussion of things. I just don't feel like bringing up all the stuff that's been said 50 times again. So let's talk about what is looking good in this movie to me. For starters, hot take, I like a lot of Illumination Entertainment's films. Kenshome in the chat just mentioned Despicable Me 2. That's actually one of my favorite movies. Legitimately, I'm a sucker for a good rom-com, and it's just a good rom-com. It's not... Illumination doesn't do, like, as deep of stuff as Pixar or DreamWorks does, but they make fun movies. And one of the things that's been really frustrating is it feels like one of the big reasons a lot of people have had low hopes for animation is because of the opinions of one particular person in the gaming community. And I want to say this with all the love for that person. If you go into my front page, you'll see he's listed in my inspirations. Hey, Blackjack, how's it going? But Arlo has been, you know, Blue Puppet talks about video games, love him, has been really vocal about disliking Illumination Entertainment for a specific reason. And he says it's because one of the executives, the CEO, said that he likes to make films as cheaply and efficiently as possible. Now, I get his frustration with this, but here's the fact about the animation industry. Most CEOs are in it for the money. That's not something y'all want to hear, but you could probably get a similar quote from pretty much any head of any studio these days. The people who end up running studios, who are in it for the creative side and just happen to have the money management to do that, are very rare. So, like, but I've just been hearing Arlo spouting this opinion about, oh, this shows that Illumination's bad because this quote from the CEO, and it's like, I want to stress, I love Arlo. It's a really uneducated take on it. Like, also, yeah, the other reason people have been saying is how overexposed the minions are. Again, that is not a creative team issue. People are bringing the creative team issues and the marketing and money management issues and kind of putting them in the same box. And it's really frustrating to watch. I mean, I could even argue that if the Minions are one of the most, like, cartoony cartoon things to come out in the past few decades. If you were into animation back in the mid-20th century, Mickey Mouse was everywhere. Bugs Bunny was everywhere. It probably annoyed people then, too. This is just the way that promotions are when something gets big. When you have a popular mascot, you promote it to death. Like, the only reason Disney isn't still doing that with Mickey is because they've diversified. And they have so much stuff now. Yeah, it's just really frustrating to see a lot of people conflate, that's the word I was looking for, conflate the creative team on something and the marketing team on something. Because, like, I think people think when they think of art house studios, they think of Pixar and how John Lasseter, like, whatever, yeah, John Lasseter's a controversial figure these days for very valid reasons, but he was also an artist, and people think of, like, oh, John Lasseter and Pixar, and he cared about the art. Yes and no. John Lasseter was put in charge by Disney once Disney owned Pixar. The first people who put money into Pixar were financial people. Ed Catmull was interested in the technology, and Steve Jobs was one of the original investors, and he was definitely in it for the money, too. So, I hate to ruin everyone's fantasies that these studios at the absolute top floor are all about the creativity or they're about the money, and that shows in their films, but not really. There's a reason that you don't hear from the person who funded this film. Because usually they're not the creatives and they know it, so they hire creatives to do a good job. And that's how the system works. So it just feels really disingenuous when people look at Illumination's marketing and go, oh, look at how much they're in it for the money. Yeah, that's the marketing team. It is their job to make money. Yeah, and I mean, that's a good point too. Some great works have been made for the money. The Mona Lisa was a commission. Thank you, Blackjack. But it's besides the point there. If you get a quote from a CEO saying, oh, we're just in it to make films as cheaply and efficiently as possible, that's gonna be most CEOs. I hate to break it to you. That's how most of them think. And that's why they're not the ones making the films. Speaking of who is making the film, though, I think this is what's really funny. Everyone has been so caught up in the celebrity voice actors thing that nobody besides... I haven't heard a single person talking about the story team behind this. Because if you talk about the story team behind this, you get one of the funniest taglines humanly possible from the creative mind behind Dick Figures. If I have to know this information, so do all of you. Ed Scudder, the head of story on the Super Mario movie, is best known for originally in the early 2010s making one of those, early 2010s edgy Newgrounds adult animated series, and it was called Dick Figures. And it was about as mature as you would think from that title. It was a collection of shorts about these raunchy animated stick figures. It had a cult following. It was actually successfully funded it was successfully crowdfunded for a film, and it made almost $1 million. And I just find it absolutely hilarious that nobody's talking about this. I want to stress, though, me pointing that out isn't me jabbing at Ed Scudder at all, because, well, you guys know I'm not really into that raunchy Newgrounds style of comedy. He actually also worked on Unikitty. He was one of the heads of story of that. It's really funny, too, because if you look at his storyboards for Unikitty, you can see the art style from Dick Figures in it. You can see his storyboards have a very similar art style. Like, he still draws in kind of his expressions and stuff in kind of a similar way. And Unikitty was one of those horribly underrated television shows. Please watch Unikitty. It was so good. It got, like, no attention. It deserves so much more. It was just a really funny comedy show. And so that when I found that out, I got really excited because I really liked Unikitty. I think this gives me a lot of hope for the humor that's going to be behind it. Like, it might... Where can we find some of these storyboards? On Ed Scudder's Twitter, for one. Wow, me being really smart and not bringing out examples. I've just seen them over the years. I hate to admit I wasn't able to find them again in time for the broadcast while I was putting everything together. But if you check Ed Scudder's Twitter and his YouTube, there is content from that, and you can definitely see that similar look to it. Sorry, I don't have a picture on me right now. I can see if I can find some. I thought I prepared everything, and then, of course, something or two passes by me, as it always does. Let me see here. Right, here on his portfolio website. See if I can find some of... Okay, actually, yeah, I've got one here. Can I just make this bigger, please? Pop it out. There we go. Here's some of Ed Scudder's work on Unikitty. You can definitely see in some of the ways he draws faces.
Excuse me, Master Frown! Hello? Master Frown!
What? Jeez!
Especially when he draws Master
Please
Frown.
tell the
It reminds me of the
Frown
style of
yard.
Dick Figures a lot.
Nice home. You see, Puppycorn is really sad after
Brock!
we kids.
Brock!
Huh?
It's Unikitty and Puppycorn!
Oh, they probably want their wish back, man.
You think?
Give me my wish back, you Binkleberry!
A Bingleberry? Oh,
Yeah, particular
no one
Master
calls
Frown just
me
kind of
a
looks like his
Bingleberry.
face was taken out of Dick
You're
Figures.
totally a Bingleberry, man.
You want the wish back?
But yeah, that's my point on that. Hold on. Sorry, I had to pop that up. Remember, do you think we'll ever get a dub of the original Mario movie? I have no idea. It'd be fun if, like, if we finally got a DVD of that. I mean, that could definitely be a thing that happens. But, sorry, when I open a second window, it forces me to kind of move things around a little bit. I need one more screen for Animation Hyperfixation. I'm working on 2, and I'm starting to think I need just one more to really have everything organized. But, okay. One more thing about the Mario movie, though, is I have a really stupid theory based on the trailer. And I don't know if I'm going to be anywhere close to right, but every time I say I have a really dumb theory and then I don't express it, it turns out I'm right. So I just want it on the record that I have this theory about the plot of the Mario movie. So everyone's talking about how it looks like it's going to be an isekai, because in the teaser trailer, Mario comes out of a pipe and he looks really confused. Oh, where am I? There's some debate on whether that's true or not. If it is an isekai, here's my big pitch for what the concept of the film could be. And if I'm right, I will laugh until I die. If not, at least I got it out there. At least I was brave and said what I was thinking. All right. Okay, so yeah, we get the thing about the concept of Chris Pratt being Mario, but not really, brought in from another dimension. So the idea that I have is, what if everyone kind of thinks that Chris Pratt is the return of Chris Mario is the return of of the legendary Mario. He hasn't been seen in years. He's this big legendary hero, and it's kind of along the lines of the Lego movie, where he's not actually that person, but he's not sure how to express that. So he ends up having to go on this adventure to fight Bowser. And you know how these films go. He eventually learns that the power to be a hero is inside of himself all along. I think it would be really funny if the actual Mario, quote unquote, showed up, maybe at the end of the film, maybe in flashbacks in some way, and was voiced by Charles Martinet. Because I find it funny that they haven't revealed what Charles Martinet's role is going to be in the movie. And it feels like something they would do, where there's the real Mario, and the plot twist is he shows up and he's voiced by Charles. And I just think that'd be funny. I think it'd also make the fandom very happy, and if any creative team is going to be aware enough of how the internet is likely to react to Martinet not voicing Mario in the first place to have a plan like that, it's the team who made a bunch of nonsense like this. So, that's my crazy theory. I'm sticking to it. If I'm right, may the internet note that I was Nostradamus, but I just think it'd be neat, is all. That's all I really have to say about the Mario movie for the time being. I thought, obviously, kind of the same thoughts everyone else had, too. Bowser looks cool. Jack Black is very likely to just steal the film. He's such a great character actor. Oh yeah, remember when Illumination made fun of NFTs, too? Yeah, thank you. Illumination is anti-NFT. Your argument is invalid. A joke, but also kind of true. Alright, next up, 1 second. I forgot to open VLC and I need music. I always think I'm organized until I start things, and it turns out I'm not organized at all. So now, I wanted to get the Mario movie out of the way. The next thing we're going to talk about is a brand new segment that unfortunately has now happened twice that I would like to call Those Darn Executives! It's not playing my sound. Let me try that again. Those darn executives! Thank you. Alright, so unfortunately, if you've been keeping an eye on the animation community, you also know that the past month has been an absolute travesty in several ways. There was a big merger, and a bunch of Cartoon Network series and HBO Max series have been getting canned and or written off for tax purposes. As in, they're literally just completely vanishing. They're not going to be streamable anymore. They're not going to be purchasable anymore. The only way that a company can write something off for taxes is to never make money off of it again. So they end up basically sending these cartoons into purgatory. And there was a bit of a scare for a moment that Infinity Train was on that list. I don't think it is. Several other shows, I think Mau Mau was on that list. It's gotten so complicated as to what's officially written off and what's not, because there was just this whole debacle over the course of the past few weeks where shows were vanishing, shows were being announced as written off. Yeah, and Blackjack took the words right out of my mouth. I don't understand the legal rules behind this. If anybody does who's watching this, feel free to comment and tell me why this wouldn't work. But I don't get why if they can't write them off and then just make them available for free. I bet there's a reason of some sort. Maybe distribution contracts would require them to keep paying people if they distributed something. They might not just be allowed. I don't know. I'd like to believe that's why. I don't know for sure. There's a very true chance that these companies could just be going, if I can't have it, no one can, ha ha ha, and being jerks, but I feel like if you're going to take a work of art and write it off for tax purposes, the law should be that it becomes public domain. And maybe that's a really simplistic point of view. Maybe there's reasons why that wouldn't be a good idea, especially because, like, you could use that as a loophole to get out of paying creatives for a whole other reason, so I sort of get it. But it's really, really frustrating to see. It's really... Although, on the bright side, people got so upset about this that the company has lost more money than they saved. So we should all laugh at them for that, because that's hilarious and they deserve it. But, listen, I try on my channel to promote getting content from official sources. Because, like any animation fan, I want more animation. And unfortunately, in the society we live in, to get more animation, people need money. So I'm not saying that you should all go out and download these films that are gonna be lost to time unless people keep circulating the tapes as quickly as you can and create backup drives for them and do other things to help them stay alive and due to their negligence of their companies, but I'm not saying not to do that. Yeah, okay, let's just be straightforward. Pirating is going to become the new film preservation if this keeps up. It's just the way it is. And it sucks, but if these companies aren't going to keep track of their own stuff, then the fans are. That's just how it's going to be. But yeah, so I'm not telling people what to do, but if somebody were to, in theory, want to preserve these shows for the future, they might want to consider downloading them as quickly as they can from aggregate sites or DVD rips, putting them on a few different drives for safekeeping, not just on the internet, because aggregate sites can be taken down by sweeping legal action. Put some on Google Drive, put some on thumbnails. Keep an eye out for if there's ever a day where the companies stop copyright scanning them so they can be posted on YouTube. That sounds like an impossible thing that'll never happen. It happened to Monkey Team. But yeah, I'm not supposed to tell people to do illegal things, but I'm just saying if somebody wanted to do those things, that's how I would go about it if I was doing that is. So anyways, about Crunchyroll. The other fun news we've gotten this over the past few weeks is Crunchyroll has fired the voice actor for Mob in their dub of Mob Psycho 100 because they didn't even want to talk with his union. And in the wake of this, other people have also come out commenting on how little money they've been making doing voiceover work for Crunchyroll. And it's pretty abysmal. It's pretty bad. I'm really frustrated with Crunchyroll because Crunchyroll has made such a platform out of, well, if you give us money, you're supporting the industry. And then every bit of information we get about how they're paying people, where their money is going, is so anti-industry that it's disgusting. They pay their voice actors chump change. They pay their subtitlers terribly. They pay people who write miscellaneous content for their site badly, often using content mills and things like that. And then they take some of the meager amounts of money that people have found the math is that they'd be able to give back to the industry, and they put it into convention advertising. They put it into their Crunchyroll originals, which they also give a corn chip for a budget after hyping up like crazy. And that's a whole other discussion to be had. It's just, and now they're basically a monopoly in the industry. There's High Dive also and a few other small people, but at least where I am in the US, I know that Disney Plus does anime in some other countries. Like, they're going to have Bleach on Disney Plus in everywhere but the US, because it doesn't fit their US brand, I guess. Even though they're literally making a show called Chibi Tales, so they know people like anime. I don't know. They're basically, at least here where I am in the US, almost a monopoly. And so people kind of have to, especially for dubbing. And so people kind of have to either take the pay they're giving them, or there's just not space in the industry. And it's very frustrating. It's like, like I said, I try to support official sources whenever I can, but the way Crunchyroll has been waving, oh, you're supporting the anime industry by supporting us, and then every single bit of news that comes out is stuff like this. And it's gross. And it's frustrating. They're going to be releasing One Piece Film Red in US theaters. And I really want to go, but I'm also really torn about supporting the fact that they're probably also going to pay some of those people $150 to do a whole movie with no residuals. It's really, I don't like Crunchyroll being in charge of so many things. I think the general consensus of those darn executives for today is mergers are really hurting people right now. Mergers are not doing the industry any good at the moment. And that's very frustrating. Alright, that's all I have on that one right now. The next one, I'm just going to briefly mention because it's big animation news, but it's not really a fandom I'm in, so I don't have a ton to say. But, in honor, also, incidentally, I was informed that today is International Lesbian Day, so I can't not mention this. The newest Scooby-Doo movie officially let Velma be a lesbian. And it's funny, if you, also right now on Google, if you Google Velma, then somebody who works in programming at Google's happy about it too, because you get all this. I know a lot of people are busy talking about how, like, the HBO Max show does not look very good. I haven't looked into that because, again, I'm not really a Scooby-Doo person. I haven't really watched much Scooby-Doo, although I gotta say, the new movie's kind of making me want to give it a look. Not just because, oh, hey, there's gay representation in it, but also every example of animation they've shown from this film so far is so smooth. It looks like I haven't seen, like, 2D traditional animation done with that really smooth style since Disney animation in the 90s and late 2000s. And that kind of, I don't know, is Scooby-Doo actually really good and I've been sleeping on it? Because that's the impression I'm starting to get. I kind of thought it was a bit of a has-been show, but I'm getting the impression from its fan base that I've been missing out on something really special. So I might have to look into that at some point. But also, in the meantime, I don't know much of anything about this, but good for her. That's all. That is all I have to say. Good for her. Happy International Lesbian Day. Also, okay, I do have one more thing to say. I find it really funny that there's a bunch of people on Twitter complaining about how Scooby-Doo is woke, quote-unquote, now. It is literally a cartoon about a bunch of hippies outdoing the cops. If you thought it wasn't woke before, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, and also, James Gunn said that he wanted to make Velma a lesbian back in his movie, too, incidentally. Yes, that James Gunn. In case you forgot, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy originally made a really hokey Scooby-Doo movie back in the 2000s. But anyways, so let's move on to me having really good opinions about anime, and by that I mean this is currently my anime list. There are two wolves inside of me, folks. There is the one that appreciates really good animation, and there's the one that appreciates really overdone memes. But let's take a quick look at the whole seasonal anime list and just talk about this for a moment. If you didn't know, I am on my anime list as Netbug. I don't really do much over here unique to anything, but if you want to judge me for some of the horrible shows I let myself give a chance, you're welcome to. This is what's down here as watching isn't quite accurate because some stuff moved to plan to watch. I wish that my anime list, random rant, I wish my anime list would just let me put all the new shows coming up on watching immediately, instead of forcing anything that hasn't started yet to plan to watch. I know what I'm doing. There's a website you can list stuff you want. Yeah! My anime list, it's great! This website... Oh, hold on, let me just go to my list here. This thing is amazing. It's for anime specifically. It's got a really good setup where you can list what you're watching and what you want to watch and all that stuff. It'll even show you how much time in your life you've wasted watching anime and reading manga. I wish they had one of these for Western cartoons. I keep up with anime so much better than I keep up with Western cartoons purely because of this website. This website makes it so much easier to keep up with what's going on in the anime community. I would love if there was a good website like this for Western animation, but everything I found that like TV listings and stuff, just it's just too. There's always something wrong with it. My anime list keeps it simple. It's great. Hey, business plan. Oh, I wish I had the coding skill or the time to put something like this together. You definitely. It is. Anime fans or something else. All right. Let's talk about some of these. Obviously, Spy X Family Part 2. I'm actually still finishing up Spy X Family Part 1. If you haven't seen this show yet, you've probably heard it's really good. It's really good. I don't have much else to say on it. It is very cute. It is a found family, fake family story with an adorable little girl. And it's just a really fun series. Chainsaw Man is definitely on my to-watch list. It's a little more gory than the kind of thing I usually go for, but Studio Mappa always does good work, so I kind of just want to see it. Ken Shimmy in the chat saying Hero Academia Season 6 is gonna suck. Yeah, I kind of agree. I will not spoil Season 6 of My Hero Academia for anybody, but I've been reading through it in the manga, and it is my least favorite arc so far. They made some decisions I really didn't like with the characters they chose to focus on. That's all I'll say on it. I'm still gonna end up watching it, but I'm kind of gonna be glad when it's over and we can move on to something else. Although, as it stands, I kind of feel like the best My Hero Academia content was the earlier part of the story. Hopefully that changes. I'm a little behind on the manga, but that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. Obviously, the big one for me this season is Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. I am once again going to try to sell you all on Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. I know you've probably heard over and over how good it is. But guys, this is my favorite anime of all time. And I want to stress, I do not say that lightly, Full Metal Alchemist held that place for like 15 years. Until Mob came along and ended up being my new favorite series. That is not something I say easily. I'm not the kind of person who goes, "Oh, this is my new favorite show," every single season. This is a big deal to me. And again, I won't give anything specific away, but with the pace they've been going, it is very likely that Mob Psycho 100 Season 3 is going to be the end of the series. I would watch if I could see it somewhat other than Crunchyroll because I'm not giving them a single view. I wouldn't know anything about. I wouldn't know anything about. I wouldn't know. Blackjack, send me a DM later. Anyways, really walking the tightrope line of not doing anything against YouTube suggestions with what I say in my not losing monetizability here. All right. But yeah, it's looking like they could finish the series here really soon. And I'm excited about that because I've read the manga. I really like the manga. I can understand why a lot of people would be kind of put off reading Mob Psycho 100 because one's art is relatively amateurish. So I'm really excited to see. I feel like the animated version is going to be the definitive version of Mob Psycho 100, and I'm really glad to see that it looks like it's going to get finished. Because that's not always a certain thing these days. You never know what anime is going to get finished or not, even if it's wildly popular. So, and also, another thing, last time we were doing Animation Hyperfixation, I talked about the whole drama behind the opening getting leaked after it was shown at a convention. And I was saying, you know, if they just released this officially a little while after the convention, I don't know why they wouldn't, because it'd build more hype, and sure enough, that's what they ended up doing. They originally, if I recall correctly, said, oh, we're not gonna release the opening until the show comes out online, and then they released the opening online, because it got leaked anyway, and that just... An opening is, in my opinion, some of the best marketing you can do for a show. I'm not saying I'm not trying to build up a sense of entitlement. They have a right to do with their content what they want, but I don't get why they wouldn't post an opening ahead of time. I don't understand why they were so secretive about it in the first place, because to me, I get more information about what I'm going to watch from openings than I do from trailers. Oh, last warning, if you're going to watch Mob Psycho Season 3 and you're not reading the anime, I advise avoiding the trailer with everything in you. They spoil so much in the trailer. Just watch the opening. It'll give you an idea of how good it's going to be without telling you anything, which is... It's really funny because every Mob Psycho opening actually has quite a few spoilers in it, but they're so surreal that you're not going to be able to know what they are until you've already watched the season, which I just think is really neat. Let's see. So there's a lot of other 2-season stuff here. I always have pretty much everything that's only one that's brand new on my watch list. How much of it I actually get around to is questionable. I have watched the first episode of Reincarnated as a Sword, and oh, it's bad. You're probably wondering, well, Ned, if it's so bad, why haven't you dropped it? Because at the end of the episode, there seems to be a pretty good, friendly, and thankfully not creepy chemistry between the main hero, that's this sword, and this little girl. It almost kind of looks like he takes on a bit of a fatherly role towards her, and I think that has some potential, but if the next episode doesn't vastly improve on the first one, I'm out. Because they do the thing that I'm so sick of in isekai, where they build the whole premise up on, ooh, look how unique this is. This character isn't a human. They're reincarnated as a blankety blank. How are they going to deal with this? And then they give them a bunch of abilities that make it so it doesn't really matter that they aren't a human. Like, sorry for episode 1, first scene spoilers of this new isekai. If anyone cares, cover your ears for about 30 seconds. But this guy reincarnates as a sword and almost immediately figures out how to use the ability of telekinesis to levitate. And he spends most of the first episode just levitating around, fighting monsters by himself. And it's just like if he was human, except because he's a freaking sword, the animators don't have to do anything with him besides move a 3D model around they added, so it's badly animated, and it feels cheap. And then they even have to, like, convolute the way that they make it so he needs help from his new wielder at any point. And it's like a temporary situation that brings them together. It's clear that he doesn't actually need anybody else. It's just, the only reason they give is, oh, I'm kind of lonely by myself. It's like, you have a lot of potential of this character is an inanimate object and has to rely on somebody else to get through life. And they just, within the first 12 minutes of the episode, they're done with it. That's it. It's really frustrating when I see that. Like, I don't get it. What's the point of the concept then? What's the point? There is none except that sword easy to draw and animate. It was just really bad. Really sad about it. On the other side of the coin, as far as an isekai I did like, that is probably honestly equally stupid, but it's stupid in a way that I like, gosh, I'm trying to remember how you pronounce this in English. I believe the official English translation is, I was reincarnated as the villainess, so I'm keeping the final boss. And the concept behind this one is, once again, you get girl who dies, gets reincarnated into a villainess, which is becoming a pretty popular trope in and of itself lately. And in the original game, which she's played a lot, she recalls that her character gets offhandedly killed by the final boss towards the end of the game. So, in an effort to avoid this fate, she goes to try and befriend or otherwise redeem the last boss, except when she gets there, she realizes, oh no, he's really hot. And the plot just kind of spirals from there. Again, this is almost equally trash as far as how, like, oh, this character can talk their way out of so much and into the situation so quickly. There's probably people who feel the same way about this that I feel about Reincarnated as a Sword. But this is my kind of trash. You know, this is my kind of thing. I am a rom-com sap. I'm a turncoat sap. I want to see where this goes. We're also getting a new anime of Urusei Yatsura, which is a pretty big deal. If you weren't aware, the creator of Urusei Yatsura, also the creator of Ranma 1, creator of so many classic, good gracious. People talk about how, where is she? Let me just find her in the manga section. That's easier. Where'd she go? There she is. Rumiko Takahashi. You probably know her, whether you realize it or not. She created Ranma 1/2. She created Inuyasha. She created Urusei Yatsura. If you like any aspect of isekai, harem series, gender benders, any of the big genres that are ironically all kind of associated with men these days, you owe her your life. That is what I'm saying. She was the forefront of harem. She was the forefront of isekai. This woman is one of the founders, and I demand that everyone who enjoys these genres now bow their head with respect to this woman. Because without her, you wouldn't have those genres today. Kind of ironic seeing how these days a lot of the harem and isekai genres are absolutely overrun by male creators and male-targeted stuff, but you know, it is what it is. I've heard she's autistic too. You know, I always get a little skeptic of autism rumors because there's a lot of people who people just kind of assume are autistic, but if she is, good for her. What else is there interesting in here? There's just a bunch more isekai. I don't know how many of these I'm actually gonna watch. I just always throw everything on my to-watch list if it's new. I still need to start it, but apparently Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury is very gay, as I guessed from the poster. That looks very gay. Maybe I've just been reading too much Yuri manga lately, but that's definitely pretty high on the list. Bibliophile Princess also looks interesting to me. It's, you know, it's one of those, it's about an isekai person. It's about somebody reincarnated who just really likes books. Which is simple concept. It's been done before. I don't care. I find it relatable. Of course, the other powerhouse of the season is the new Gundam by the same people who wrote... Oh, is it by the same people who wrote Utena? Okay, that explains a lot then. Pop Team Epic Season 2 is upon us, like it or not. I am meme trash. I absolutely love Pop Team Epic. I love when not only do people make stupid jokes, but they put a stupid amount of effort into them. Like, if you... I'd air it on here if I wasn't worried about getting copyright struck. If you watch nothing else from Pop Team Epic, go watch the skit Hellshake Yano. Because that is the very epitome of, this is very stupid, but somebody put a lot of effort into it. It's kind of amazing. It's one of my favorite skits. Also, it's that show with an Undertale reference that Toby Fox referenced. So, you know. I just think it's neat. I just think it's a really fun little show. It always makes me smile in a really stupid way. Where is that other one that I found interesting? Okay, there's two more. That Eternal Boys, which I haven't been able to find officially licensed anywhere yet, but has my attention, it looks like it's going to be kind of a parody of the idol genre, but with these, like, middle-aged men as the idols, which could be really fun. And the other one, which I'm kind of embarrassed to admit, how do you know that you're a Yuri fan when you're desperate enough to watch something like this? Asasa Dummyhead is a Yuri series about a guy who is reincarnated as one of those dummy head microphones that they use for ASMR, and it's supposed to be about, and is used for basically recording people acting like lesbians for other people to watch on their headphones. It's the dumbest concept ever. I'm aware it's going to be incredibly stupid, and it's a really good thing that the episodes are short because I'm not sure I could deal with this level of stupid for 22 minutes at a time. But you are not a Yuri fan if you haven't watched something that looks incredibly dumb out of desperation because girls' love is the least populated anime genre on my anime list. Please give us more good Yuri adaptations. Please? Please? And I think that's about it that I saw in here. Oh, there's also a Digi-Chariot mini anime series. We don't really know what this is gonna be yet. We just know we're getting new Digi-Chariot content for the first time in I don't even know how long. It's really interesting seeing all of this, all the nostalgia bait come back up. We were saying, Yatsura, did you share it? We had the new Tokyo Mew Mew series last season, which, is it still running, maybe? It might be? Or did it end? I forget if that one was going to be 12 episodes or 24. I don't see it here. So I think it might have been 12. Or it might be under kids and I just blocked it by accident. Don't see it here. Wait, is... Oh, that's still running. I still need to check that out. Also, I just noticed they didn't put Precure under kids. They're kidding themselves, aren't they? But yeah, that's about it. Other than I really need to catch up with Pokemon and attempt to catch up with One Piece a little bit. I'm very behind on the One Piece anime. I'm caught up on the manga. I'm in this unfortunate place where it's like, I want to recommend One Piece to everyone I know. It is such a good series, but the anime can be hit or miss, and it's so long now that if you're thinking, I want to get started in One Piece, just go read the manga. Save yourself hours. If you get really into it, then you can go watch the anime, but I wouldn't recommend trying to get into One Piece with the anime at this point. There's just too much of it, and the quality of each arc is a little up or down. I would just tell people to go read the freaking manga at this point, because it's so much. Also, yeah, related news to One Piece, but again, I say this with a little bit of irritation because it is, I believe, through Crunchyroll, and I'm kind of annoyed at Crunchyroll right now. One Piece Film Red is getting a semi-wide release in the United States. It's going to be for 1 week in the start of November. It's not just coming to the major cities, it's coming to a few smaller towns. I'm just really happy with how far One Piece has come, because if you were a One Piece fan back in the mid-2000s, you know it took a lot of hard work from a lot of people who really loved it to get it out there, because originally it was brought over by 4Kids. The 4Kids dub was predictably bad. And then Funimation picked it up, and tears of joy and singing, and everyone was so freaking happy. And since then, it actually, fun fact, I believe One Piece was the first anime that was simulcast before they had, like, really regular simulcasting of shows. One Piece had its own website, and it would simulcast new episodes. It was one of the first forays into that in the US. So, yeah, it's come so far, and I'm so proud of it that now we're getting a semi-wide release in the United States. That's not something I could have ever imagined back when I first discovered it. It's so cool. It makes me so happy. Okay, I think that's, did I have any, one other note here. Well, okay, two other, because I will help Kit and Shomei in the chat there. I will agree. Yes, please watch Zatch Bell. There's a new manga for it, which I still need to get caught up on. Also, in celebration of Kirby's 20th, in celebration of Kirby's 20th anniversary, no wait, 30th. Gosh, I'm old. I am so old, you guys. I don't want to admit that the things I love are as old as they are. In celebration of Kirby being 30 years old... It's not 20, it's 30. I'm sorry to tell anyone who didn't want to know this. It's a year younger than me. It is 1 year younger than me. They are releasing in Japan, unfortunately, not in the US, Japan, a Blu-ray edition of the entire Kirby anime series. Which, that's just cool little bit of trivia. It would be really nice if they officially brought over the anime subtitled. There's been a big fan community project to subtitle it that I think has gotten almost every episode, but I just think it'd be nice if we had an official release. Aside from the 4Kids one. Alright. Next segment here is one I thought particularly hard about and is very stupid. It is the segment I call... The segment I almost called Zero Watch, but that sounded a bit creepy, so I don't know what to call it. Yay! Thank you for appearing in the wrong place like that, VLC. I appreciate it. So, if you didn't know, Ciro Neely, one of the, a creator in the animation community, I follow his work really closely. He created Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, he worked on the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there actually is a bit of news this week related to him and related to Monkey Team. Nothing too big. Don't get excited. Nothing got renewed. And I closed that. I'm really good at running a live show, you guys can tell. So, a few bits of news. First off, I've been recently informed that Ciro Neely is going to be one of the executive producers on Transformers Earthspark, which is the new Transformers series coming out next month. I was not aware of this until recently, and I flipped out, because I'd been wondering what the guy was up to for a while. Last we'd heard anything, Ciro was over at Disney working on something. We didn't find out what it was, and now he's over at Nick working on Transformers. Now, granted, being an executive producer isn't always the most involved job. It might mean that he just did a little bit to support it and fund it, possibly, and he doesn't have a big role in it. I haven't heard him talk much about it, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have much of his creative touch or anything, but I just think that's neat. I just thought that was a neat little note. More interesting is recently Ciro's been posting a bit about Monkey Team again on his Instagram. I'm just going to read out what he wrote here, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. I'm more likely known as the Turtle Guy, but when I was still in my 20s, I feel so old, I made a show completely in Tokyo called Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. I was deep into Japanese manga artists like Ishinomori Shotaro, Sanpei Shitaro, Nagai Go, and of course Tetsuko Osama, as well as Robots and Monsters. This was a love letter to it all. It's about a kid who finds an abandoned robot, sneaks in, and in looking for the light switch, accidentally awakens its 5 cyborg monkey pilots, becoming the leader and gaining the power of Monkey Fu. In his giant robot, he defends his city from kaiju. It was ahead of its time. I pitched it in 2001. It was in development at Nickelodeon, but they passed once 9/11 happened. I couldn't do a show about monsters destroying a city. And Cartoon Network passed because it was too Powerpuff Girls. It landed at Disney, where a brilliant executive decided she wanted it. It was just that simple. It ran for 52 episodes and the story was never finished. I recently found all my art and will be posting stuff here and there about this show. It's my dream one day to finish the show. Many fans out there demand it of me, but it's difficult bringing a show back from the dead. Trust me, I care. Okay, enough for now. More to come. P.S. It's on Disney+. Unfortunately, it's not the high def, nor is it the 16x9, which is how it was made. I don't get it. Maybe Programming It Plus needs to get on that. So, yeah, quite a few interesting bits of information here. I know not everyone here cares about Monkey Team. I do. It is the show that my little channel was built on, so I'm going to let myself go off on it for a moment. I didn't realize the show was in production all the way back from 2001, and I just find that to be a really interesting piece of trivia, that Monkey Team almost became post 9/11 lost media. That was kind of, wow, really? Okay. Makes sense, but that was kind of a thing to hear. Cartoon Network thinking it was too Powerpuff Girls is also interesting. It's really kind of funny to find that it almost got picked up by several places and then ended up at Disney, of all places, where, honestly, I feel like Disney is the place where it felt the least like it belonged in their programming, but Jetix was really going for changing that, so I guess they saw... It was Jetix's first production, so it was pretty much a clean slate as to what they wanted to do. Don't mind me crying over Ciro saying how much he still cares about the show. I'm not crying, you're crying. And, yeah, if you didn't know, it is on Disney Plus now. Yeah, I'm familiar with the Ultra Force lore and everything. Incidentally, the other bit of news that I have is Disney Plus actually added more languages of Monkey Team, including the dubs recently. And it's just really fun if you have any knowledge of one of these other languages to go through and see what differences you can find. I have a little bit of Japanese knowledge from my years of watching anime and from actively studying it. So, I just want to make it clear to everybody, that in that one scene with that one love confession, you know the one, you know what I'm talking about, in the Japanese version, she doesn't say daisuki, which is general ambiguous. She doesn't say suki, which is a basic romantic like. No. She says aishiteru. Which, if you're half the weeb I am, you know aishiteru is the big romance word that is used sparingly by people who are super in love and, like, married couples, and I'm just losing my mind a little bit over that. It's a little detail that makes me really happy. I'm so happy, guys. I am shipping trash and I am happy. Anyways, enough about my shipping garbage. Like Ciro said he was going to, he started posting some concept art. And we got some of the original main title color compositions. And they're gorgeous. They're freaking gorgeous. Look at this stuff. Cell paints and gouache. These are not by Ciro, incidentally. They're by one of his creative staff. Who's I'm not sure what her entire name is. Lynn. I wish he'd put her entire name here, but these are, oh, look at this! These are so pretty, and I want this on a t-shirt. I would kill for an Art of Monkey Team book. I don't think it's likely to happen. They're so pretty. But yeah, Ciro said he's gonna be posting more art like this. I'll try to keep talking about it. If you want to hear about this kind of stuff more often and more quickly than you would from Animation Hyperfixation, I do run a Monkey Team side blog over on Tumblr, where I will try to share this stuff as much as I possibly can. So, if you have a Tumblr, head over there. I'll probably scream about it on my Twitter, too. You know how I am. This is just, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I freaking love this show. Alright, anyways. So, following up a little bit, I'm gonna stay out of spoiler territory, because this is not our end show spoiler segment yet, but I just want to really quickly follow up on the Rise movie, because we talked about it last time, before it came out, and sure enough, it was really good! Big surprise, it was incredibly good. Actual big surprise, it has been trending on and off on Twitter ever since it came out. And there have been videos going up on YouTube. People are finally discovering this show. And that's super exciting, because there have been talks at Nick about if the show did good on Netflix, that it might get renewed for another season. And it seems like it's getting there. I don't know what Nick's metric of success is, but it's definitely been getting the show around to more people. There's been a lot more interest in it. Again, I'm going to try not to give anything specific about the movie away right now. If you want to go see it, it's on Netflix. I really loved the tone of it. I feel like, as much as I liked the original series, there were times where the fact that they were 12-minute segments could make things feel a bit fast-paced, including, like, emotional beats. It was really hard to keep an emotional beat very long because of the nature of the show. And it was still lovely stuff, but I feel like the movie really let those more emotional parts breathe a little more. And it just made the movie, in my opinion, the best thing that's come out of the series. It was just, if you haven't seen it yet, the hype is real. Go check it out. It's a lovely show. It's gorgeously animated. And the movie is specifically made so that people who've never watched the show can still get into it. So if you're kind of thinking, oh, I want to watch the movie, but I'm not sure I want to invest in a whole series, go watch the movie. You can watch the movie. It will spoil one thing for you, but it's like, if it's all or nothing, go watch the movie. They did a pretty strong effort to make it so that you could watch it without having seen any of the show. And I think that's part of what's been helping it right now. It's been taken off. All right, we're getting towards the end of things. Our next segment is going to be the spoiler segment, where we go in depth on one specific piece of content that's come out, and spoilers happen, and I'll tell everybody to get out who isn't watching it, I mean. Before we do that, is there anything else that's come out in the past few weeks that you guys feel needs attention? Anything we want to talk about? I'm trying to think of other things myself. I know there's been It's been a crazy few weeks, or I guess it's been about a month since I did one of these. Alright, I'm not seeing much of anything on this one. I feel like we covered a lot. I actually even cut out a few less urgent things that I was originally going to talk about this week. I'm going to talk about them later at some point, but it's been a week. It's been a month. Doesn't feel like it's been a month. I keep saying it's been a week. It's been a month. It's been a month. So anyways, this is a little bit of a weird one to end on because I don't know how many of you have watched this. If I'm talking to myself for the next 10 minutes and someone comes in later who's seen it and enters the comments, that's fine. But our spoiler segment this time is going to be about Ninjago Crystallized. The series finale just dropped about a week ago. It is the official end of the second Ninjago series. They said they're coming out with another one next year, but in the meantime, we don't know what it's going to be about. We have no information on it. So if you don't watch Ninjago, if you care about spoilers for Ninjago, this is your cue to leave. I hope you had a nice day watching. This is going to be the last thing we'll talk about. But if you are into Ninjago, then I am going to spend a little bit of time rambling, getting really specific about the season finale in a very definitely completely serious and not at all silly discussion. So, yeah, last call to exit if that's not something you want spoiled for you. If you're heading out now, thanks for joining us. And now I'm just going to ramble about this for a bit. So, the Ninjago Crystallized finale. I watched it with Elastic Poodle, who... It's a shame that EP has to go to sleep a little earlier than I do Animation Hyperfixation, because it'd be really fun to have them here talking about this, but, I love how it feels like the further into Ninjago you got, the more it kind of became aware that a lot of its audience was also getting older. And the more that it sort of played around with the fact that it was using a lot of corny tropes. Like, how to express what I mean? One of my favorite moments in Crystallized is there is a point where Zane, which happens roughly once a season, gets completely messed up. His tech starts backfiring. He becomes out of... What's the word I'm looking for? He becomes out of commission for a bit. And this used to be a really dramatic thing back in the day. Zane dies or fake dies like once every freaking season. And Pixel finds him, and at this point, she's just so used to it that instead of making the fact that her boyfriend is on the fritz a big thing, she just takes him, stuffs his whole ass in a backpack, and goes to find Cyrus Borg to get him fixed. And I laughed so many times during the season because of how self-aware it was getting. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be over the line, are you telling me that to use our dragon forms we have to jump up, kick back, whip around, and spin? That line, I had to pause, and I choked, and I was watching with EP, and me and EP screamed affectionately about how much we hate this show. But, you know, in an affectionate way. We love this show. But it's just... How do I describe the appeal of Ninjago for me? Because you guys know that I've watched a lot of Saturday morning cartoons in my time. Whenever I'm trying to sell someone on what I like about Ninjago, I always tell them, watching Ninjago is like ordering a really good hamburger. You know what to expect from a hamburger. Like, unless you order something really weird, you kind of know what you're getting when you order a hamburger, you know? But if you order one at a really good burger place, you'll get one where the meat's cooked just right, and all the ingredients are nice and fresh, and it's nothing unexpected, it's just all of these things that you like assembled in the best possible way. That's what Ninjago feels like to me. Not much about it surprises me anymore. I've been a Saturday morning cartoon action fan for 25 years now, so nothing really throws me for a loop as far as, oh wow, what an epic plot twist. But the way that everything is done is in the way that I really like. It's the tropes I like, assembled in a way I like, and every once in a while it gets self-aware. Like, one of the big drivers of how self-aware Crystallized was, and like I warned you, we're getting into spoilers here. Harumi. I do like how they used Harumi as sort of the audience surrogate of, because she is in a lot of ways. I mean, she's the bad guy, but she also is very aware of all the tropes, and they definitely play that up. They have her talk about Lloyd's innocence and how that can be used against him and all this stuff. I just really appreciate the way that the show managed to balance, hey, we have older fans now who are going to be kind of self-aware of this while still being entertaining for children. It's hard to do something like that. It's hard to appease the fans who aren't surprised by anything anymore without making it feel like it's being too cynical for kids. And I feel like Ninjago really got that down, especially in this last season. Also, in kind of the opposite way of what I was saying before about how I think Turtles was limited by his 12 minutes sometimes, I kind of love what the 12-minute formula in the second series of Ninjago did for Ninjago. Because they got permission to tell all of these little micro stories. There was one big overarching plot, but they could go aside for an episode and do something silly. They could use a different art style. They could try something experimental. And one of the episodes that really shows that is the Christopher episode, which might be one of the funniest episodes of anything I have seen in a really long time. Like, I had to pause so much during that one. Incidentally, if you translate Garmadon's mug, it says #1 dad, and I've never been so angry about something in my life. Like, no, you're not. You don't get to have that mug. You don't get to have that mug anymore. You're not Sensei Garmadon. You're a shadow of what he was. I'm taking that mug back. But now, the real question is, where is Ninjago going to go now? There have been a lot of rumors circulating about it. I mean, heck, even the way the show ended, where they even said, oh yeah, our powers are going away. I'm sure they'll come back eventually. It's like they're not even shocked anymore. They've lost their powers so many times. They just know. They just know. Well, does it need to go anywhere? I mean, no, it doesn't, but they're getting another series. It's gonna go somewhere. It's ended twice now on a perfectly good place to stop, but then continued and still been good. So that's kind of nice. It gives me some hope that these writers know how to continue even though they've wrapped up a good story. I have a theory. There's been a lot of people saying, oh, it's going to be about new ninja. If it is, I'm kind of hoping for a next generation thing. Because the very last shot of Ninjago Crystallized and what rolls behind the credits is Christopher planted in the ground, a small plant. I'm just imagining them coming back, zooming in, and Christopher has grown into a big old plant, like a tree or something, and it's a new story starring the main character's kids. And I feel like that's very plausible because so many of these characters end this series paired up. Like, there's plenty enough couples that they could all have a kid or two and we could have a next generation arc. That's not a problem. So that's kind of my guess, unless they just decide to bring the main team back. But it really felt like they were foreshadowing a next generation styled thing. I think it'd be neat. Also, one other bit of detail that I found kind of fun. I'm not... How do I word this? I don't want to mistake anybody who's coming in into thinking that Ninjago has a lot of queer representation. It's not... There's not an officially established queer couple. There's not much of anything in that regard. But I did notice a few little new details they started adding in this last season that make me hopeful that they might be going in that direction. They're just mostly Easter eggs. They're things that are, you know, the kind of stuff. The stuff that's easy to edit out for an international audience, unfortunately. But there is a character who's the main character of our episode who is, her gear and her car is just covered in Progress Pride flags. Ninjago City actually has one of those. It's only a background thing, but blink and you'll miss it. But Ninjago City actually has one of those gay crosswalks. You know, the ones where each line is a different color. It's I get hesitant about pointing out stuff like that because I don't want people to think that there's more going on in the show with Rep than there is, even if Cole is unintentionally probably some great ace representation because he never ends up with a girlfriend and loves cake. But it kind of gives me hope that maybe we're going the direction where shows like this, maybe in the sequel series, can be a bit more blatant. I don't know. That's just been on my mind lately. But yeah, I really liked the way that Crystallized ended. It feels weird that it's over. I've been watching this show since season 3, which a long time ago now, I realize. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. I guess I've been watching this for a good 8 years now or some nonsense like that. And whether the new story is about the same characters or not, we've come to the end of an era of sorts. And and it's also really interesting seeing how far the show has come. Like, when I started showing EP this show, I was on some of the later episodes, and I brought them back to some of the early episodes, and it made me realize, just from a visual standpoint, my word, the animation has gotten better. Especially in the fight scenes. Like, the fight choreography, used to be kind of just okay, but the newer fight choreography in the new series, it's so snappy, everything feels like it has weight. It's just really good. Ninjago is just one of those shows that's always really solid and always a good time, and I'm gonna miss it until it comes back, and I hope when it comes back, it's bringing back something really good as well, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm curious to see where it goes at this point, and in the meantime, I'm gonna have to find something new. Maybe I'll finally freaking watch Monkey Kid like I've been meaning to for 1,000 years. But, I think that's it. I think that is the last bit of anything I have to say today. I think that's going to wrap us up. You'd think that I wouldn't get tired of talking with how much I do in streams, but if I do an hour or so solid of chatting, my throat starts to go a little bit. So yeah, thank you guys for joining in. If you're watching this after the fact, feel free to post in the comments. Baby Charmander just got here. Hi, I'm sorry. I hope you'll go back to the start and give it a watch and leave something in the comments, BC. I'd love to see you there. Anybody else also here, feel free to leave something in the comments if you're here afterwards. If there's anything else you'd like me to talk about next time or any thoughts you have. If I get comments under the video, live shows don't tend to get many comments afterwards, but if I do, I'll be happy to read some of them off and talk about them at the start of the next episode. Again, I don't know exactly when that's going to be. I'm thinking once a month is looking pretty good right now. It's going to depend. We had a pretty busy summer of things. I don't know exactly. I feel like, you know, I say once a month. It's been more than a month, hasn't it? I'm talking like it's been a month, but I feel like last time I did this, we were just starting to talk about the summer anime season. So that might become an anchor. Like, if nothing else, we get one of these around the time every new season of anime starts after the last one ended, and we talk about that and everything else going on around it. Hopefully more often, but that's a good anchor to have where I'm at least doing it each time we have that. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. If you're new to the channel, I'm Netbug009. I talk about animation, play games, and do other tomfoolery. Subscribe. You know how the system works. If you subscribe, you see things. If you give it a like, the algorithm tells you like things like that, and you get more things like that shown to you by the algorithm. Support positive content by liking positive content. I don't want to preach, but if you're seeing nothing but negative ranting on your YouTube front page, you probably just need to watch and like and comment on a few more nice things, because the algorithm pays attention to what you engage with. So yeah, consider giving us a comment or a like, and don't just help my channel, but help yourself find better stuff to enjoy too if you liked this. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Oh, and go watch the new Baymax animated series on Disney+. It's really funny. I don't have much to say about that one in particular right now, but I just wanted to recommend that. It's hilarious. I freaking love Big Hero 6.